Confusing me.
Hi friends. Welcome to another episode of Matka Chai. This is the 45th episode, and we are so happy to have Shreya Krishnan. Shreya, welcome to the finer side.
Thank you, Prithvi. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. For those who would probably view the recording a little later or join in later, just to let you know, Shreya is an old friend from advertising, then a parent of Roots Montessori, and then she's mentoring us at the finer side whenever we get active, whenever we get active on the events part of it, and probably much more to do. She's an artist, so I have this thing of making her dance on stage someday. Let us see.
Yes,
That will
someday.
also happen. So Shreya, what we would do in this Matkacha is basically you are part of the corporate world, and you know that people love things to be online, even arts. So we had a conflicting situation of what can go online for arts. I don't believe that you can teach online, especially arts, because it's an energy based activity.
Yeah,
If you're
I agree.
dancing with four people, the whole body energy is different rather than online. So we said we will not do classes, we will do conversations with people related to the arts industry. So pandemic, out of pandemic, fear of pandemic coming ahead. This latest I heard is some tomato something. So you have so many things coming up. Meanwhile, artists have still been able to do things.
Yeah.
People have been positive. People, irrespective of how many of people have come by and gone by, youngsters passing away in the second wave, but
Yeah.
still there is this energy, and that we can do, we will survive, we will come back for
Yes.
everybody. So what we would like to talk to you today later on is about today's world and people and how you see it. Before that, how did Shreya reach wherever she's reached today, from birth to now?
I think I was born into a matriarchal family with extremely vociferous, fierce women. So from my grandmom to my mom to my aunts, all of them were working. All of them were very opinionated, and also unafraid women. So I was born into a family like that. That was my reality. And the reality was never, there was no discrimination in the house. Whoever was good at whatever, we would do that. So if I was good at fixing TVs, and you remember those old antennas.
Yeah,
So by
yeah.
the time I think 8 or 9, I was already fixing antennas. I'd go up to the terrace. Then, you had to shout from the terrace saying, "Is it there now? Have you got it now?" So I think
ಬರ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ
yeah. So, so I think at that time, I remember growing up in a house which is like, and I used to live with my grandmom, my grandpa, and my aunt who lived below us. And there was mom, dad, me, and brother for a few years, and then dad moved abroad. So I went on to become, at some point after my grandpa passed, we were all women in the house. And my brother was the only boy in two generations who I think we've effectively ruined. But but I grew up in a home that was, and I was telling somebody this recently. I read Jataka tales, Panchatantra, because my mom loved those. I heard stories of mythology from my grandmom. So every night when I was being put to bed, I needed to hear a story. And every afternoon, also, I remember as young as 3, I remember one of those stories of the kings and the mango and the bee that would kill the king. And I remember the way my grandmom would narrate it to me. My aunt was a massive Enid Blyton fan, so I read a lot of the Enid Blytons. So my mum had her own set of books that she liked. And I remember watching very interesting shows on Doordarshan, Focus and Earth Hour. And so I think I absorbed some of that sustainability piece from there. So I grew up in a home which is very diverse, even in thought. So we were not worried about opinions, and we were also not worried about holding our own space. Everybody collaborated together to make the meals, so it was a very easy flowing. I had a very amazing childhood because we also didn't have too many rigors. I remember growing up in a quiet old Bangalore neighborhood where we had Hindi speaking people, Tamil speaking people. So I speak all of the languages that I heard as a child when I was growing up, and I speak them fluently now. So I remember growing up in a space that was very safe. I would be on the streets, and I remember 8 o'clock in the night or 8:30 when it was time to eat dinner. One of the people from the house would come to the street and call out for me because they'd never know whose house I was at. So I think growing up in a secure home like that, and also a home which never discriminated on gender. As I was growing up, also all my friends were boys, and while my all of them thought my granny was constantly scolding them, she was just speaking in Malayalam to find out who it was. Malayalam apparently sounds like a language where anybody speaks it and it sounds like you're being scolded.
Uh,
So I grew up like that, and then I had multiple interests. I tried Bharatanatyam when I was young. My aunt is a big deal in this space. She teaches in Dubai now, but I never got interested in that form for whatever reason. And she used to be quite strict, and I remember hating that experience. Then I was put for music, so I was one of those hyper children who was put into everything simply to keep her quiet. You know, can you just take her and shut her up was the primary reason. So I ended up doing music class, dance class, art class, every class that my mom could find in the neighborhood. I was put into one of those classes, and I think that gave me diversity, and also it gave me very clear likes and dislikes. Like I knew what I wanted to do and I knew what I did. So growing up, I think that helped a lot. And of course, then college happened, and I realized I keep joking that except for the philately club, the French club, and I think the Christian Students Association, I was part of all the other clubs in college.
so
So,
which school were you from?
I'm from Kamal School, pre-nursery to 10th standard Kamal School, Padmanabh Nagar. I walked to school every day, and we had like a walking group also. So very much one of those kids from South Bangalore in a nice South Bangalore school, walking to school, like 5 minutes from school was home. My mom would joke that, do you go to broom the school? Because I would go first. I always wanted more time in school when we were not in class. So she'd joke, Ada parke ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಳೆ ಗುಡ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ, she would joke. So I grew up like that, and it was a very nice. I feel bad that today that's not the environment kids have to grow up,
Very sad.
because there was no judgments and there was no which home who has what. We were not judging whose couch looked like something or whose didn't. It was the judgment was only whose mom makes the best food and what food are you going to get to eat.
Yeah.
So that's the childhood that I had. Then I went on to go to Joseph's for my undergrad, and I did 3 years there. I was the cultural secretary. I did a lot of very interesting things when I was in Joseph's. I did two honors programs along with my degree. So it was a mixed bag growing up of different things. And I've always been grateful and lucky, I think, that I got to experiment with everything I liked. And I was, I got my way more often than not. So that was my growing up years. That's how I remember it.
So post Joseph's, what did you do?
Suppose Joseph's, I was already working for an events company, so I decided I was working for them already. So I found these event companies in those years that needed people for various things. So I would go, and I was an anchor. I would go anchor an event or something like that. So I decided I will take a break from studying. I will decide what I want to do and then study more. So I worked for 3 years between my undergrad and my postgrad. So I started with an events company, then moved into a technology company, and I was doing communications and writing and all of that. My first job, though, was as an intern at the Hindu. That was the first role that I played. I was a journalist. I did all the beats. Satyamurthy at that time was the editor, and he was generous and kind enough to give me everything that I wanted to experience. I remember writing features. I remember doing business. I did crime. I did the crime beat. Basically, I experimented with all the pages in the paper. They gave me space to do all of that. So it was interesting, exciting times to be the journalist. And then because of my writing and because of all of that, I ended up doing a lot of freelancing for companies, and then worked. And then when I was in the second year of my first job, full-time job, I told them that I wanted to study my master's. And they said, fine. And then I picked the course and I said, I have classes from morning 8 to 2, and I will come to office 2 to 10. And then the HR and my boss they were fine with that. They were like, yeah, you go study, you come and you work. We don't have a worry about that. So for a year, I did that. I went to college in the morning, finished college, went to office in the afternoon, finished office, and I would come home. And I would study for my exams and all in the office. So
Wow.
through
Okay.
my, so I did 2 years of my mass communications, but I worked through the 2 years. So I finished college and then went and did my job. So
So, post that, corporate life
that's
came
what.
in.
So that was the first corporate I worked in. It was called Core Objects. It was in Baswangudi. I was made brought in to be an executive for communications, but my boss at that time quit and moved out. So they gave me his role. I was 21 and I had two people reporting to me. I remember going to college with, I had a senior from my college who joined me in my second year. So she was my senior, but she was reporting to me at the office.
Office.
So it was a very, yeah, it was one of those things. I think they trusted me, and I got a phenomenon. Again, grateful for all of the opportunities that have come my way, and I never said no. I said yes, okay. I was one of those people who'd put my hand up and be like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I had corporate going on along with my masters. And when I finished that, I started consulting again because I think for a year in between, or for about 8 months between corporates, I did a lot of consulting work. I wrote website content. I was doing freelance writing. I was a choreographer back then. I was teaching a lot of people how to dance, a lot of corporates. I would go, for their annual days. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember a lot of choreography for a lot of corporates. So my card used to have six things written on it: freelance choreographer, writer, content writer, events anchor. So, it had some marketing specialist like this, some four or five things. So wherever I went, and interestingly, I got work. I was a 23, 20, no, 22-year-old, and I got a lot of very interesting work. So I remember doing a lot of work with media, and that's when I started doing anchoring shows and TV shows and things like that. So finished that and then got back into a corporate. I joined this company called Collabra, and I worked with them for a while till my course was done. And after Collabra, I joined a startup to do their marketing and comms. I was with that startup for about a year, 2 years. And from there, I joined First Advantage, which was my previous job to where I am right now. I spent about 6 years there. I was heading marketing, comms, product, CSR. And now I'm part of Aon for it's going to be 5 years soon. So I
Wow.
have actually held down one, two, only four corporate jobs in my 17-year career. Although
But
I've done a lot of,
yeah, yeah. Apart from that, you've done a lot of your. I, I need to keep my finger in every pie.
yeah, every pie, and every
Yeah,
pie has served me very well. So
yeah.
I'm very grateful. So I would anchor, and any company I joined, I'll tell them, listen, I do theater also, I do dance also, I do anchoring also. So I had a list already. I would say there are a lot of people I help with businesses also. So, please be okay with this. So far, knock on wood, everybody has been. And now, Aon is my day job. I head marketing and comms for all of Aon's businesses in India. That's my primary, role. But I'm on the advisory boards of four for-profits and five not-for-profits, and I work closely with different pieces of them in different ways. So there is that, and then there's my theater. And now I've just done my first film. It's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be, yeah,
With Chaitanya, if I'm not wrong.
yes, yeah, other
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So there's that, and I've just signed on the second film, which is another interesting project. Yeah, I get to, and I anchor a lot of shows. I do a lot of the standard anchoring shows, and then I also get to work in very special social impact spaces, very very close to my heart: women, children, differently abled, financial independence for women. So for four or five of them that I work with very closely, all very interesting projects. So I keep saying this, I live a life of abundance, of love, of work, and of everything that I get to do, and it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, and I'm sure the family is there to support you
Yeah.
to do all these things, which is
Yes.
primary
It
to
cannot
impact.
happen. You need a village,
Yeah,
especially if you have a child. Annika's turning 9 in June. And like you said, I've been a parent at Roots for 3 years. So you know the child also really well. So I have an entire ecosystem that's been set up, and also the most parts I would carry her along. Now I've decided to do not do that for other reasons because she's growing up, she needs a different environment. But when she was younger, she would go. I would just pack her up and take her with me. Even as recently as if she has holidays, even now I take her with me. Mum and her come along with me if I have work travel, and they chill and I work. And so it's always integrating. I keep saying there's no balance, it's only integration. How are you able to integrate? So
yeah. So you have to tell me which part of your life influenced you so much for the poet in you. You know, it's very
ah,
impactful, your poems that you post with your pictures or whatever you do. You never give statements, I am here, good food. You make it into a poetry and put it across, which is very nice and very impactful. So there has to be some kind of an influence for that kind of motivation to happen.
so the motivation happened in my maths class in maths tuition in 11th and 12th. I swear, my first
Poetry
poem.
in maths.
Because my first poems were written in the back of my maths books, math notebooks, because the math notebooks would be like this, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
after a
The
point
long
you go
ones.
from the
Yeah.
square to the the long ones, horizontal ones. So I remember my maths tuition, I would hate trigonometry, I would hate calculus, and I'd be like, what are these people talking about? And to keep myself awake, I swear to God, I would feel so sleepy because I wouldn't relate to it. To keep my brain awake, I would start writing. So my first few years, I have poems and poems and poems on maths sheets torn from my maths workbook from my tuition class. So that's how I started writing poetry. But I think what gave me the landscape to write or the language to write was the fact that I read all through. I was a reader. I would have my nose buried in a book. If I had to be quiet, it had to be with a book, reading. So I think that gave me that I have traveled with my books everywhere to the world, right? You read about everything. You don't,
That's
books are the best
that's
way to
your
sit in
battery
one.
charging time.
Yeah, you can sit in one place and you can just absorb so much. So I think growing
Yeah.
up, it was my best gift to be able to read. I wish more kids read today. I find it very hard to get Anika to sit and just
So
read
there
a
are a
book.
lot of children reading. I am, believe me when I tell you, I work with a
Yeah,
lot of teenagers. I work with a lot of older children. Believe me, they are better than us. Yeah, they are
and then
reading
I'm
a lot.
glad
Yeah,
because
they're reading a lot.
she will read only when she goes to bed. She doesn't do reading as an activity through the day. Then you have to coerce her. But before she goes to bed, she needs to go to bed with a book. So at least she's reading every day, but not as much as I would like her to.
Yeah, but also I very strongly believe that parent what they show the children do. So if you're
Yeah,
reading and it'll carry on to her, don't
it'll
worry.
carry
It
on.
might take some time, but when all the other digital impact moves away, the books will come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the spirit.
So
So
what
yeah, so
what inspires you for the poems that you write?
I think initially it used to be when I was younger, it was all around nature and beauty and heartbreak and love and things you see around you, things that happen to you. Somewhere in between, it switched to anger. I
Hmm.
wrote a lot of very angry, dark poetry because I think in some way I was rebelling the world and its perceptions of who they want you to be, etc. And then I think now I write from a space of spiritual slash, I believe very strongly in law of attraction and neuro linguistic programming or whatever it is that you call. So I think now my poetry is inspired more. There is anger; it's not gone away, but the anger is channeled into something more
Yeah.
effective. So
So
yeah.
where did you get this title to put for your handle called Rama Rani?
So my first job, I was one of the youngest people there. I was 21. So they used to call me Nautanki baby. Okay, so I was called, and it was core object, so they used to call me the core baby. and Nautanki was there, Nautanki Rani was there. Then one of my friends said, "Listen, she's totally SKDQ, Shreya Krishnan, drama queen."
Mm.
So I actually created a blog on Blogspot called SKDQ. And that, in some way, when I think it's about 4 years ago, when I was thinking of a name for the Instagram handle, I wanted that SKDQ because that was my original blog. So I took the drama from there. I wanted something very Indian. So I made the queen into a Rani.
Rani.
So that's how it became a drama Rani. So
Yeah, yeah. But it,
that's the story.
yeah, I mean, I've always wondered whether somebody called you Drama Rani and you put it up. So there
No,
must be
somebody
some
called me
story to
drama
it.
queen,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
played that to make it drama
yeah.
Rani.
So you very strongly advocate a lot of things. Okay, I
Yeah.
want to talk to you about that, but before that, we will just see a little bit about the finer side, what place it
Yes.
is, so that we just have a glimpse of it.
Can I say something before that?
Yeah, sure.
The finer side is one of my favorite spaces of openness. And when I say openness, not just the space, but the ideology of openness to allow for people to come and collaborate. We keep saying that the future is collaborative, but not a lot of people are doing anything about it. People are still competing. But what excites me about the finer side is it's a truly open collaborative space which allows for art to be envisioned and evangelized in the form that it should be in all forms. And that's why my heart came to it the minute you spoke to me about it. I said, this is it. It may take you time because the world has to
Right.
catch up, but it's an idea from the future that's calling to you.
We
And
have
which is why,
time. Yeah, we
yes,
have time. No problem.
so
And
which is why it excited me so much. So the finer
yeah,
side is very close to my heart and what you do
good.
there too.
So we will just put this on so that you can also take a small break. I'll also take a small break.
Wonderful to see this venue come alive. The sound was great, acoustics were great. Thanks a lot to the finer side.
I mean, what can I say about this place? It's such an inspiration for all artists like me, and I feel like coming and again and performing here.
ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್, ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ವೈಬ್, ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಈ ಜಾಗ ಈ ತರ ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿ ಬೆಳಲಿ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಆಶಿಸ್ತೀನಿ.
ಬಹಳ ದಿನಗಳಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆ ಜಾಗದ ಹೆಸರು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ದಿ ಫೈನರ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ತುಂಬಾ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗನ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
This beautiful auditorium, it's very inspiring to see how it has been designed for the sake of arts.
ಚಿನ್ನ ಚಿತ್ರ ಬೆಳ್ಳಿ ಕಟ್ಟು ಬಂಗಾರ ಬಣ್ಣದ ರೂಪ, ಚಿನ್ನ ಬೆಳ್ಳಿ ಸೇರ್ಕಂಡಾಗೆ ನನ್ ಗಂಗೆ ರೂಪ.
बहता है मन कहीं, कहाँ जानती नहीं, बहता है मन कहीं. यूं ही बरस बरस गाली घटा बरसे, हम यार भीग जाए इस चाहत की बारिश में. सुलझ जाए मन भीगे आज इस मौसम में लगी कैसी
Hi everyone. It was a lovely music evening and I thoroughly enjoyed and I'm looking forward for many such lovely programs. Thanks to TFS and I'm hoping to be coming here again and again.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was a small gist of what we did during the pandemic, and now we are luckily renovated the place. We have made it look even more beautiful. We have landscaping changed. Uh, we are gearing up for what probably we've had a lot of inquiries for. Can I use the place for a wedding? Can I use the place for a Arangetram? Can
Birthday.
I use money? Because as you said, this is an open collaborative place.
Yeah.
People should be able to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
So this Sunday we are having a first 50th wedding anniversary.
How sweet.
Yeah, we're
50.
starting with the 50th wedding anniversary, and we are going to have the famous R.K. Padmanabhan sir perform there for the
Wow.
audience who come by within the invitees. So it's not the same regular buy a ticket, sit down and do something. So we want to
Yeah.
create something different, and I'm calling people like you to plan something, put up something and create
Absolutely.
it. So yeah, the serious things that I want to talk to you, which I will talk now because today or tomorrow this is going to be very impactful. uh, and this is a plan I have for you to spearhead at the final side also. You are fighting a lot for how people perceive women.
And minority genders. Both.
Ha, okay, yes, minority genders. But what we get to read more, what we get to see that punch coming out from the screen is, don't you bloody call me pretty. You know,
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
not just
brain.
pretty.
Yeah. So, there is, it's very vocal. It's very, probably some people who are looking at it saying that, yeah, kyun ringe?
Yeah, I'm sure. I get
You
that. I
know,
get that.
yeah, exactly. Because ನಾವು ಗಿಡ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಮರ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಹೂ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಅದು ತಪ್ಪಾ? Now
ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ
I'm
ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ.
ಇಲ್ಲ, I don't want to do debate here with you because I know you will win. So I'm only saying that yes, the voice, the vocal impact that you are trying to make, saying that you might be whoever you are, you can perceive us as pretty, beautiful. Don't tell us, is
Yeah, I
what you're
mean,
trying to
I'm saying tell us more.
tell us
Okay,
more.
that we know. Tell us more. So every
Yeah.
time somebody says, "Wow, you're so beautiful," I'm like, I had nothing to do with it. That's genetics. I come from a Malu family. Good hair is in the genes. Somebody ate fish. I'm vegetarian, but somebody ate fish. I have good skin. But I didn't do anything to do it or for it. What I did is work on myself, my personality, my character, my who I am, what I've read, what work I've done on myself, my journeys into spirituality. There's so much to me than just an appearance. So all I'm saying is fine, but don't stop there. You want to say something impactful that makes me take notice, it has to be a little bit more than something that's generic or
So
something that's
my
basic.
primary question is, when
Yes.
did you get offended and by whom?
Aha! So, when I grew up, no, Prithvi, when I grew up, I had the reason now I'm very happy wearing my glasses. In between, I would switch to lenses. Then I realized I enjoy wearing my glasses just as much. So, but while growing up, I was a tomboy and I was a lot skinnier. So, my skin was a lot darker. When you put on weight, your skin becomes lighter for whatever reason because you put on weight. So I grew up as a tomboy with big soda. In those years you had those big soda glasses,
Yeah, yeah.
and I had two pigtails. That jade with the this thing which was plaited down.
And
And
school
I
go
had,
to the red ribbon,
yeah, we had black. We had
black
black
ribbon.
ribbon.
Okay.
Okay. So, but I had the same amount of confidence as I do today. And at that time, it was called overconfidence. You know, it's a bias that we think that people who look a certain way are smarter. Or, and I was called overconfident by all teachers. Where is this overconfidence coming from? So at some level, when I grew out and when I started, I started wearing saris early on because I was in a leadership position and I realized that people respect that garment more than they respect me. So if I wore a sari, there was a certain maturity that the garment acquired. So I remember looking and watching this pattern over time. And I realized that there's so much of a pressure on appearing a certain way. Even on Instagram, there are a lot of pictures and videos I put up where I'm sitting at home in my glasses, in my house clothes, and I'm not worried about appearances because I see my 9-year-old daughter who's very little exposed to the Bollywoods or whatever it is of the world, who still thinks appearances are the things that matter the most. And I want to break that. I want her to be in a world where she can be whoever she is and she's still taken for her true worth and not for the way she looks. And that is, I think, where it started for me. And um, I think that's a constant thing that I keep saying, that let's give women a lot more than what you see with your eyes.
I don't know. Absolutely. And I don't think the society consists of only people who subdue or ridicule or,
Yeah,
put
yeah.
people down.
So
There are a lot of
that's
people.
the
Yeah.
flip, right? That's the flip. The
Yeah.
flip is I'm surrounded by people like that who
Huh.
see me for who I am. So when I see other women being in spaces when they don't have, it's a privilege. The fact that I have people around me who see me for who and what I am and who appreciate that more than anything else is a massive privilege that I have, and it's incredible to have people around you, and men and women both. I'm saying. So, it's usually one off where some auntie will say, Tu kali hai, lekin tu sundar hai, or black beauty, which was the standard term. So, somewhere I know that it's not the true reality for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
I am in a space where I'm surrounded by people, whether it's at work or in the many things that I do, and everything who are amazing, incredible, and come to the table and see you for all of you and not just a facet of who you are. So I just think that the world should have a lot more of that.
So this comes to the next point. Now, since you're upcoming famous actress who's going to take over the Kannada industry, kind of a thing.
No such
So,
intentions.
well,
No.
welcome to that, and I hope Chaitanya decides to also give me a role in front of you. So we'll hope Chaitanya does that. But my question is this: beauty or no beauty? Okay, irrespective, beauty or no beauty, what you do, what a person does, and how much they work towards becoming that person has so much more value than you know what I mean,
Yeah.
appearance. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm sure you know Jacinta, and she
Yes.
invited me to talk to her girls, and I went
Yes.
and spoke to them about performing arts and things like that. And there were people who needed a little extra confidence. That's all.
Yes. Yeah.
But they all had their personalities. They knew where they were coming from, where they want to go, what they want to do. They were very expressive, and uh, I I don't want to say that it was difficult to find pretty people, but each one was pretty in their own way.
Own stead.
And it did not matter how they looked, what they wore. It's about their confidence, how they spoke. So, if you take the film industry, for example, and if you talk about Om Puri,
Yeah. My
okay,
goodness.
if he
What a
comes for an
class
odd,
actor.
if tomorrow he comes for an audition to Bangalore without being Om Puri, somebody who looks
Yeah.
like that, I doubt he'll get any role,
Agree.
because the
Completely agree.
because the terms will say you need fair, you need good looking, you need smart, you need well built. Already it is there. Now, if I have to star in KGF, I have to grow a long beard, which I can't. So each area, each industry has its own levels and
Spaces. Yeah.
spaces.
I told
You,
Chaitanya that I said, if you look at it, firstly, it's a little bit different for men and women. If you notice, statistically also, there is data to prove that how a man looks is not primary in many
yeah,
spaces of whether he's on a stage or whether he's on wherever space he's operating in, his looks are not your primary way of approaching the person. Whereas for a woman, it's unfortunately not. A lot of
yeah,
perception around a woman is the way she carries herself, etc. And a lot of times, because of the way the world is wired, there aren't enough platforms. Now it's changing, but there weren't enough platforms for women to be as vocal as they would like. So I was joking with Chaitanya saying, you have broken every stereotype in the book by casting somebody who's, 35 plus, who has thick thighs. At that time, I had a really short boy crop, so, and I was dark skinned in comparison to most other actors in the roles that they played. And many of them are in their 20s. Many of them have very fit bodies. They invest in it, which I really appreciate. I don't have the time to, so I don't. I'm saying, so I told him, I said, you've broken so many stereotypes by casting somebody like me.
no, he's a darling. He's a darling. He knows
He is.
what he's doing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I was joking to him about it, and I said, it's not many people who take the road less traveled. And when that happens, and I seem to be, like I said, surrounded by people who take the road less traveled, I'm very privileged and honored to be in the august company of these people. So it makes it, including yourself, it makes it very easy. My life is very comfortable for me to say these things because I know it'll be held in the way it is. The trolls don't matter because the people who matter to me see me for who I am and know where it's coming from. So for me,
Okay.
it's that. I remember meeting Jesse's girls, and they all were so amazed, and they were all so amazed with the titles I had of the, pageants or whatever. And they said, and I told them, there's this poem that I wrote a long time ago called "Let Me Tell You the Story of a Dark Skinned Girl," because I was called Karpi, Kali. These were all my nicknames before my soda came. Then I became Soda and Soda Buddhi and all of that. So I had written a poem on that and I read it out to them because I said, don't, what's holding them back or where their confidence is somewhere a little held back is not because of how they can speak or anything, is because what if I'm judged
Yeah,
on any parameter?
yeah,
What if I ask the wrong question? What if so there's always that what if, and that what if usually comes from this doubt, self doubt. So take out that self doubt. And that's what I told them. I said, it's okay. There are no wrong questions. There are only stupid answers. There are no rules to, but it's easier said than done because it's years of conditioning that they
yeah.
grow up
So
with.
yeah, that's where I was coming. You and me don't care who
Yeah, we don't.
thinks what. We will do what we have to do.
Yeah.
But the society is such that half the time they're feeding in saying that you can't do this, is not for you. Why do you want to try? You know,
Yeah.
I will dive into anything just like you. Lift my hand up and say, okay, I can do this.
For 3 years of being in my dance in college in my dance troupe, out of the 3 years, the first 2 years, my mom didn't even know I was part of the dance troupe. I went, I would win, she didn't even know. So then I told her, I said, I'm dancing. So then you have to be a little bit brazen sometimes,
Yeah, yeah,
and
it's
I
fine.
keep saying, and
But that conditioning that you said, okay, there's a lot of people who bring three levels of conditioning. One
yeah,
basically is the economic.
yes, yeah,
It's crazy the way people are told, we can't afford that. Why do you want to try this? Are to hell with it. Go for it. If you get it, we'll figure out how to do it. That should be the attitude. Then the
economic.
thing
I have to
is,
say,
huh,
on economic, when you see these kids being told that they don't have the access or what has happened is they've already closed their mind. So that's what
yeah,
NLP tells you. When you tell somebody that, often enough that becomes their truth, their reality, and they don't know how to change it. But the honest truth is the access everybody has now, especially in the world we're in today, everybody has phones, everybody has handsets, everybody has some gadget or the other, especially when the world went through the pandemic and everybody in India. So it is what we choose to allow for us to happen. And I agree with you that economic spaces are something that need to be looked at deeper, because economic backwardness, for lack of a better word, or the underserved communities are not in the spaces they are because of just that. It's also because they believe that they are not
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah, they're
So
already
belief,
decided.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a tough one.
Okay. The second thing is the social condition, where I'm so happy that when I see the OTT, and
Yeah,
whether it was the she, whether it was that short story where the maid, the house owner falls in love with the maid.
maybe, yeah,
There's so many things that is there, but even there the undercurrents are about social status of who you are, what you are. It's all there.
yeah,
uh, the
yeah,
media is today coming out with your voice in many ways.
yeah.
Keep it equal, everybody can do, anybody can do. But at the end of it, it comes back to the same message that you can do, but it's not meant for you.
Yeah. Then
Yeah,
you give up. They give up
then you
because
give.
they show it's a see, anything you see is a microcosm of the reality around you,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And if the conditioning is such, then to believe that you can even dream, that's the
Yeah,
thing Jessie always speaks about. She says the power of dreams. The girls say, can we even dream of a life like that?
yeah.
See, we have even filtered the dreams of these amazing, powerful people who could change the world are probably sitting in spaces where they believe they can't because they've been told they can't.
Nice. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to ask is, when you're so powerful, when you are vocal and things like that, uh, do you intend anytime to plan and form a body and association? Because I have closely worked with Chaya Srivatsa madam, and she's an inspiration for me. She's been my mentor in my younger days, and I was part of Blossom City when she started it, and probably somewhere direction has come from her. And I know that she has done so much for women, and I remember doing a grandmom's day. We celebrated grandmoms and things like that. So you're in the space where you're drama rani, by the way. So you can think of many things to do in terms of activity. On the other side, if you need to pull up sponsorship, CSR funding, you know how to do it. And on this side, you are very vocal and voice about the community, whether it's you want to
Yeah.
call it minority. For us, it's all another set of people who are there. So
Yes.
you are very strong about this. So is Shreya planning something
So
as an
that's interesting.
organization, as a body, that probably can be a voice for a lot of people rather than just an Instagram post?
So interesting you asked that, because Antra and I'm now one of the co-founders of Wow Kitty Trust, and Wow Kitty Trust believes in financial independence of women. So I'm also one of the trustees now, founder trustees. So what we believe that is that women should have access to capital, and if the financial independence of a woman is the space for her to be able to become more empowered in more ways than one, then we should support that. So this idea was very simple. 6 years ago, Antra and a couple of friends decided to meet once a month, contribute 1,000 rupees per person per head to a fund which would go to giving 0% interest loans to rural women entrepreneurs. 6 years down the line, we have now supported 3,000 rural women entrepreneurs, from cow sellers to flower sellers to somebody who
Wow.
wanted to learn how to drive to farmers. And our fund is almost reaching a crore. The 1,000 rupees that 85 women around Bangalore put together every month is almost touching a crore. We have a 92% repayment ratio, which means the funds come back and they go back and get invested in new women. So it's like a chain. So it's a microfinancing platform. So that's primarily what we're doing right now. And because of the pandemic, all our physical meets stopped. We used to get speakers to come and meet, etc. But we do have plans to revive that in full form. For me, I've always thought of two, three things. One is a think tank of people who are invested in the journey, irrespective of socials, like an Akai, for instance,
Yeah,
an Akai Padmashali, a
yeah,
Pinky
yeah.
Chandran, an Antra, a you, a Chaitanya from the arts. People who have like minded ideologies and look at the world with community at the core of it, not diversity alone, but real inclusion, not dividing based on religion or
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
but true
Or
impact
any norm. Yeah, yeah,
on any norm, but
yeah.
true impact. One of the things I've always thought of is to create like a little think tank of people who come together and do many things, because organizations exist many times. It's the interlinkages that don't happen. There are a
Correct.
lot of NGOs that are disconnected that are doing phenomenal work. So I've always thought of creating a platform or like a micro community of people who can impact change. So maybe I will get to that also eventually.
Wonderful, wonderful. Uh,
Jacinta is one of HopeWorks is one of the organizations that I love the work of. So I invest in my time and energy. When Jussie calls and says we're doing this, I'm like, yes, we're doing this. Whatever you say. So
yeah, yeah,
there are a series of people who I will. You called me and you said, can you? I said yes.
yeah.
I always say yes for spaces and people I believe are making that impact, and I think it's just about
She's also very infectious energy. She is.
yeah, she
And
does.
she's a magician. She will put things together.
Yeah.
How, what, where, amazing. So actually, I was
Yes.
planning to, in the introduction, put your name as Shreya Krishnan, the bold and beautiful. Then I said, "Beda beautiful hakot beda baitalolo," and she will do an Instagram post saying, "This Prithvi, he called me beautiful."
No, most of the times it's more generic. I'm not scolding a person. I'm
Yeah, I
just,
know.
it's a collective thing. It triggers from somewhere, and then I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
this triggered me. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah,
So,
I know that very well. I've had fortunate instances to talk so much about these things with you. So
yes,
yeah, but it's always good to do humor on yourself. It makes life easier. So
always.
yes, so we are about 10 minutes to winding up, but uh, tell us more about your dancing. I know that you love this belly dancing. Somewhere you've learned it off, and
Yeah. Yeah.
mm, you do a lot of that, and uh, we have spoken about that many times.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So
so
my
tell us
dance
about
journey, like I said, started with Bharatanatyam, which I did not like. Then, when in college, I learned contemporary from Janni Murali, and there was this entire bunch of contemporary dancers. Then we brought in Mayuri in the third year to teach us, and Mayuri Upadhyay taught us. So did contemporary for a while. Then went from contemporary to jazz for some time. And then from there, I found my amazing teachers, Mridula, and now Mridula and Vinay, part of Dance with Me. So for about 11 years, I did all forms of Latin and ballroom with them. I gave exams, I got honors and medals.
wow.
So I did Latin and ballroom, that salsa, rumba, bachata, bolero, cha-cha, what have you. So I did 11 years of that. Even now, their studios in Whitefield. If it was anywhere in the city, I'd probably be there every weekend with Anika dancing. So even now, I'm drawn to dance in
So the
that form.
finer side can open up a space for you with your available time to start dances.
Actually, yeah, I would love to
Actually,
get
yeah, why
back to.
not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not? So then I did belly dancing. When I was doing that, I was also learning belly dancing from Piles Dance Academy. Again, a wonderful bunch of people. Continued to do that till the pandemic hit, and then I don't like online class, exactly like you said. So it's so disconnected. I'd rather go to the space and learn. But having said that, I've also been doing about this is my seventh year of learning Kathak from Nishita Srinath. She's a Nirupama Rajendra student, and she's also a great friend of mine. So for the last 7 years, I've been consistently doing Kathak, and that at least I managed to show up online for. So these are the dance forms I've been learning. I keep saying in dance, I'm always a
Hello. Currently, she's frozen. She will get back alive. Well, friends, there's so much that we can learn from Shreya in terms of being who we are, our personality, holding on, doing things. A lot that is there. Shreya, back? Yeah,
Yes. So my network decided to switch suddenly.
yeah.
So
So,
yeah, so I was saying I enjoy performances, I enjoy teaching dance, I enjoy improv. So I've done pieces of my poetry and I've done dance together, like a recitation, a recital. I record it and then do the performance to my own pieces or to other people's pieces. I enjoy a lot of that.
so two quick questions for another 5 minutes. This corporate diva, you got now what?
Yeah,
You got yourself branded as corporate diva, and on the other side, Mrs. India.
India. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I clearly see that the Mrs. India is not a happy required activity on your resume, but probably the corporate diva is more prestigious. So, can
No,
you tell
I
us about that?
cringe. I cringe every time because in any audience, no, when somebody reads out my profile, the Mrs. India is where I get the maximum amount of applause. And I'm like, no, no, that was easy.
Yeah.
No, no. you know. But Copra Diva was, I mean, it was very sweet. Deepika Trehan, who runs Copra Diva, met me, and then I was part of their, the second cohort. And I won it that year in 2017 in Feb. And she's doing an amazing job of bringing communities together, people together, women in corporate spaces, building platforms for them to interact, connect, building a tribe. So the great work that she does, again, I endorse that, and it's amazing. So Cooperativa was fun and nice. It was something I could do. But Mrs. India was very off for me, right? But it's the same joke. I still had super short hair. I think that my hair has been the longest right now. But at that time also I was not in makeup. I was wearing whatever clothes I had. I was myself completely. And I think it's a message because I said when somebody said you do Mrs. India, I said, me? No, I don't fit the typecast of that. So even I had a stereotype, and that's when she said, no, you
Yeah.
that's where you
Yeah.
should go. So I did go, and yeah, I was, yeah. Goes to prove that you can be your authentic self and still be as successful. I keep
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
no
Absolutely.
masks, please, no pretense, please, because pretense takes a lot of your energy away. So I think I thrive in being my open, honest self everywhere. I keep saying, "Jo dikta hai, wo bikta hai." That's all. There is nothing. There's no smoke screen.
So is has Shreya been ever tactful, diplomatic, and not straight on the face? Could be at work, could be at family, could be anywhere.
I have been tactful and diplomatic. I have been kind with honesty, but I've always been honest. I have not withdrawn on being honest or transparent. My life itself is transparent. I don't hold anything very, I speak very vocally about experience. So I believe that the truth is very, very powerful, at least your personal truth. And I believe that honesty with kindness is always better. I keep saying that if you're kind and if you're honest, then it's the best bet to be. So I have been
Yeah.
tactful and diplomatic, yes, but I've always been honest. And if I
Yeah.
don't want to say something, I will say something else entirely. So thankfully, I've been blessed with the gift of
Can
the
you pass me
gap.
the
So
water, please? I can imagine how you will do it. So, you know,
yeah, so I've
very,
said if
very
I,
nicely. Yeah.
yeah, so I've said your voice sounded really nice when you said that because I don't agree with the statement at all. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
I know, I know, I know, I
so
know.
yeah,
Fair
so
enough, fair
yeah,
enough. Absolutely. Yeah. So now I'm going to call you the bold and the beautiful because, yes, you are bold, you're beautiful, not just appearance, but beautiful internally. You think for everybody, you are there for people, you are ready for any cause which can take your energy, take your time. I don't know how much resources you put in, but if required, maybe that also, but you will be
yeah.
there for that group of people or an individual too. And hats off from all of us who are watching, listening, and know you very well that yes, this is a beautiful thing to do.
Anytime and for
Yeah.
anything. That's what I said. All my agendas are always very clear. Anything that is good for the planet, anything that's good for people, anything that is art or art related, anything that is for the underserved communities, I will raise my hand and I will do whatever it is. Resources, putting people together, whatever I can do, I always have my hand up and say I'll do it. So,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Just a minute of the finer side is reopening from the 22nd, and we are planning a lot of activities, music, theater, films, appreciation. We have a screening room now. We have a huge dining area. We have a nice lawn. Videos will come up shortly once it is ready.
beautiful.
Amphitheater, you have seen the amphitheater, and now we
Yes.
are
Yes.
looking at doing more intimate music shows where audience will come onto stage, talk with the artist and say, okay, at this journey, this is what I liked song. Can you play it and can we sing it along? So we are planning something very
Beautiful.
interactive and try to see how it is. Uh, we have been making a couple of short films, and we want to continue the journey of making these short films. Um, Luckily and thankfully, uh, 19 years of working with children at
Yeah.
Roots, I have a lot of stories. I have a
Yeah.
lot of stories which can be compiled. So I'm going to knock. I think I have mentioned to Chaitanya that I want to knock on his door for some guidance for this. So we can do a 5 short story kind of a thing. I've,
Yeah.
and I have you as one of the parents of one of the short stories. So
I'd be happy to do that in a heartbeat.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it'll mostly be all our friends, all the people who have been connect with. So let's work together. Let's do something together, and please do put me in for anything that you want
Yes.
as a
No,
cause, and keep
this
the finer side in your picture for anything
in
that
my
you want.
mind.
Yeah,
So, I was just thinking that we were planning on doing something for getting together of women orbiting women. So I will keep you guys in mind. Whenever we do our first meet, we will come to the finer side. I have some ideas on bringing together some of the not-for-profits into a space and getting like a mela sort of a setup with whatever it is that they make. So try and do something with them. I had another idea of bringing in like different forms of artists from different forms of art to just come and talk about how art can be cathartic and how art is therapeutic, and getting them to do different forms of art. Me and my friend Anusha, we run a spirituality retreat space. We call it any space. We can go into any space and convert that into a meditation journaling kind of an experience. So we'd be happy to bring that there.
yeah.
We've just started with moon meditations and things like that. We've been using MySpace, but if we want to do something larger, we would love for the finer side to collaborate with us to bring people together, because spirituality is powerful, and it's in the last year it has just transformed my life. So yeah, I have Prithvi. Now that I know the space is opening up, in all probability, you'll be saying no, no.
No,
So
no, 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 no. I will never say no. I will probably be like you and very nicely say, "Oh, that date is blocked. Can we look at
blocked
another date?"
exactly. So we will. I hope to do a lot of very interesting, and look forward to doing a lot of very interesting things at the finer side. I will come there, and I'll also probably hold like a get together of all the incredible women I know for next Women's Day. I'm planning right away,
Absolutely.
because remember we missed two
Yeah.
at a stretch because of the
No, we
pandemic. We
did.
had
We did
everything
something
planned.
called Evolve. We did
Yeah,
something called Evolve when we had so many activities, and you know.
yeah.
So this year we will probably let you spearhead that.
Yes, I look forward to that.
Yeah, so we will schedule a meeting after this, probably
Yes,
next week sometime, whenever you are in Bangalore, whenever you are away from shooting, away from making
Ibni.
reels, writing poetry. Yeah, we'll probably catch up and see what all we can do at the final side.
Yes, sounds like a plan.
Thank you, friends. Whoever is watching, there are so many people. Not many said hi and hello today. There are only one or two who have said so.
Yeah, there are
Yes.
some people saying hello, and yeah,
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 so it's okay, not a problem. And this is going to be recorded, it's there, so people will see it.
yes.
Done.
Yes.
Thank you, and
Cheers.
wonderful.
Thank
Have
you,
a wonderful
Prithvi.
evening. I
Thank
have to
you.
think
You
of
too.
I have to think about the cheers now. Seriously. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Been saying that for a while now.
Yeah, yeah. We
Bye.
shall catch up soon. Bye.